I said 560.
I think it's 520 something.
All right.
But I could be
Okay,
wrong.
let me call
Don't embellish the numbers. There's
our
a-
meeting to order. Today's June 14th, 2023. Town of Southington Board of Finance meeting. It is 7:01 PM. We'll call our meeting to order for the Pledge of Allegiance. So let us please stand for our pledge. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Lebenik,
Here.
Mr. Pocock,
Here.
Mr. Baldwin,
Not here.
Mr. Morrison,
Here.
Mrs. Zoni,
Here.
Chair Larry,
Here.
5-0.
Perfect, thank you. There are no public hearing items, so we'll just go into old business and ask for a motion for the approval of the minutes of our May 10th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any changes to those minutes? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are,
Abstain.
abstain. So we have one abstention. The minutes pass. And now we get into our financial assessment of the current year.
Item B, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually, was it motion for both?
Was the
Oh,
was for both.
oh, I
Yeah,
didn't.
motion was for both. and the
Motion
second
was for both.
Yep,
Yes.
so we're all set.
Sorry, I did not hear that. Thank you.
Okay, when they
I heard
come, we'll deal with them. Give me one second, I'm just trying to. Okay, we'll get into the financial assessment of the town. Mr. Bose, how are we doing?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll see on Exhibit Roman numeral 5, 1 is the revenues, sort of something that you're kind of used to getting in your packet by now. Some of the revenues that have shown significant variances. There's nothing that's showing a significant negative variance, and these are some of the what I call the major ticket items that you're pretty used to seeing. So you're borderline $2 million, give or take.
2 million over budget on revenue is not a.
Correct. On the expense side, there was nothing really to report as far as any significant variances because they've all been addressed, or you are addressing some tonight. So there's really nothing, and there's nothing really out there that I could see right now that would really trip us up in the last month of the fiscal year.
And you've got the contingency at 489.
Yes, and item number, Roman numeral 5, number 3 is a summary of the contingency, the town manager's contingency line item. At this meeting, we have $32,000 before you, and that's an appropriation you'll see in a little bit, request. And if that gets approved, it'll be $489,000. That's correct.
Okay, no, it's nice to, I appreciate having this in here, I think we all do, having this in here so we know where we stand, especially going into next year where we're going to be a little tighter on revenues. And
I believe that to be true.
that we're going to be tighter, or that we like your report?
Both.
Both.
Okay.
I do have a question. I went through the entire listing we received from Teresa Babin. Is this the appropriate time to speak about that?
I'm sorry,
It'll be up, coming up. The
Okay.
The list will be, the suspension list will be coming pretty soon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Then I'll wait till then. Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay, so that's okay. So section 5 is done. Subcommittee reports, sewer, Mr. Morrison?
Sure. There's a few things. First is there'll be a couple of items tonight that we'll have to authorize, and I can talk about them. I can talk about it then, or I can talk about it now. May as well talk about it now. First thing is we deep on the sewer project told us before we started there was about, I think, $230,000 worth of items that they wouldn't fund because of various, deep requirements. And in the course of the project, there were some change orders and which other things cropped up that we would have to pay for. So the total amount of all that was $242,517. What we're going to propose is to take it out of the sewer fund balance, the reserves. We have the money, obviously, and that's on the agenda tonight for approval by you all. Second thing, there's a phosphorus metering system project, which is attached to, obviously, the new phosphorus building, and it's to determine, essentially, are we spewing out phosphorus, essentially, into the Quinnipiac when we should be taking it out of the system in our phosphorus building. So to do that, we have a phosphorus metering system. To put it into place, there's two things. The first is a bid for the equipment, the analyzer, which is $61,000. And the second is for the actual work itself, of which we put it out to bid. We got the lowest bid, actually, was approved for $196,400 for C.H. Nickerson, who we've worked with before. So both of those, the phosphorus metering project itself, the 196K, will come out of the sewer maintenance account. We had that in there already. Whereas the actual equipment, the orthophosphate analyzer, for those who want to get technical, will come out of the sewer fund as it's a capital item, and that's on the schedule for tonight.
How much is that?
61,000, and the itself 196,400. Okay, the West Queen pump station is pretty much completed, but in order to wrap everything up, the last change order, we added a fence gate for the installation, and we also got $27,000 worth of adjustments from credits from the project that we thought we were going to use, but we didn't. So that overall credit added to the project cost. The project is now costing $879,599.78, as opposed to the $892,400 that we assumed it would. So I guess you got $13,000, Mark, to use elsewhere.
Use wisely somewhere.
Use wisely. And last, hopefully next month, we'll have the report of the operations fund, where we actually have, at the moment, we've got $1.5 million. Some of that, quite a bit of that, is going to be turned over when we hit July to various projects and things. And we'll determine what those are. But there will be money left over to transfer into the sewer reserve fund, which will keep it a nice, healthy balance in there. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Maybe that'll save us some confusion later on. Public Works, Mrs. Oni, Mr. Pocock.
Mr. Pocock, I was not able.
Okay, I don't do it quite as well, but I'll give it a shot. The first thing on the agenda was speeding vehicles that was brought to our attention on Mount Vernon Road. That has been corrected by the PD, or attempted to, with doing radar. So that should satisfy some of the residents in that area. The other thing is on an informational thing, the bulky waste, mixed loads. People are coming in there with mixed loads, which if we have to get rid of some of that material that doesn't meet that requirement down there, gets a little costly for the town. So we're just asking the public to be constant, check of what they're bringing in there. Drainage, which costs money, they got about 4 crews working on that. That's Canal Street, Andrew Street, and Smith Street, which is up in the area. One of the big ones, and a lot of people are going to like this, the Rails to Trails from Hazel Lane up to West Queen. it went out to bid, and the winning bidder was Schultz Transportation Corporation out of Bristol, $2,274,324.66. They're going to start on that.
Council approved it Monday.
In the building department, we've had their issues trying to make everybody happy. That don't always work. They're averaging about 426 permits and checks. They're working on it to do some of the re-inspections by photo, so that's in the works. For them.
Is the building department now in Public Works?
No, we talked about the monthly reporting, so they go to the Public Works meeting.
Okay.
But obviously, police and water aren't in Public Works either.
Yeah.
They just go to, because they all work closer together.
Mm-hmm.
Just one more thing I want to add is
Go
that
ahead.
you mentioned the drainage. Starting July 5th, our contractors will be in town to start the road projects. So-
I had that, but Tomaso was going to be here,
Yep,
right?
July 5th. So
Yeah, I had that down
be
my
patient. The only way to get the roads done is that will slow you down a little bit when we're working on those roads. Please be patient, and the road projects will get done before the beginning of school.
Right.
Thank you.
But it's,
Go right into open space, Mr. Pokek, if you would. Then we'll go to executive session right after these committee reports.
okay. Open space, nothing really new. We've got a lot of things going, but we've had a little problem at one of our properties up there that's being addressed where we can't get water to. Other than that, that's the only complaint, and I'm not afraid to complain about that, believe me. Should have been 2 years working on this, so it's the way it is.
What do they need? Water to
The water to
plants?
plants up there. It's a good project for our youth that are trying to learn or want to learn. And I'm always for people that want to learn,
Yep.
especially that area. Fire Commission, you want me to get that one out of the way?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, they're averaging, I've had people ask me where everybody's going. They go to the highway, I-84, and last year was like 4 calls up there for them. I just got off the phone with the chief earlier. They're averaging somewhere in the area of about 200 calls a month. And we're also been helping a lot of departments of mutual aid. They're working on a new setup on that because that's taking people out of our town. But on the other hand, when we need them,
We're happy to do it. We're happy to
right,
do
it's
it.
working. We don't want to. There's nothing sour about it. It's just it's a lot of people. And that averages out to about 2,500 plus.
Remember a few years ago, Mr. Moise brought it up about approaching the state regarding all the times we go on the highways.
Mark.
I mean, we have more highway
There
exits
is
than
there's a
most.
state fund. There's a state fund for that, and
We get some, right,
Yeah,
for that?
absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a state fund for the last 3 years. and
Yeah.
We do get some revenue on that.
That was addressed
Yep.
back
Okay.
a ways.
Not the revenue we'd like to get.
No,
but
no,
it's
no.
better than nothing.
It's only what, maybe a couple hundred.
Depends on the call.
Yeah, calls, yeah. That's basically my, and like I say, they've been busy. So, that's it.
Okay, let's go to self-insurance.
Sure, be quick. We have results through May. May was a little bit higher than budget. It was 2.3 on a budget of just under 2.2. So now we're 11 months into the fiscal year. We'll see how June turns out, where we'll ultimately end. But we are essentially right on budget for the year for claims. We had actuals about 21.9, and budget was just under 21.9, and we're about 1% or a couple $100,000 over prior. One.
I guess if budget's where you expect it to be, that's good. I mean,
Rather be, I mean, obviously rather be lower, but
Of course.
if we end up on budget,
Right.
yeah.
Are any questions there? Any questions on anything so far?
Yeah, just quickly, I mean, obviously, next year we're going to have to I'm going to look at it, but everything okay set up for the following year? You know, cuts to be made.
Yeah, what I would say is I think what the self-insurance committee will do will be to look at look at where the reserves stand after this fiscal year. Probably take another look at the reserve fund policy. Obviously, there was a recommendation again out of the self-insurance committee to use reserve funds. The Board of Finance 1.4 again. That's what went through the town council. You know, we project that out on at this point in time now, kind of a 4-year basis, and we'll see if that keeps us in compliance with our policy. We'll see if the policy still, makes sense as written, or if there's an appetite to make some changes.
Thanks.
Okay, then economic strike, anything there?
Just a small item. A tax abatement was put forward for a piece of land up on West Queen Street, for commercial property, for a road. Tax abatement, I believe it went to the town
It was
council.
approved for
yeah.
$1.2+ million. Up West Queen Street.
Right. Which is good. I mean, it's the only way we have to bring in commercial development. Or it's one way, I'm sorry. Obviously, to help it along.
So is that abatement like the present value of the term of the abatement?
How it works is it's a public improvement. So you have raw land in an I1 or an I2 zone. It has to be industrial zone. The property owner puts the road in. In this particular case, the road is approximately 770 linear feet, costs $1.25 million. They're able to get a tax abatement for a period of time. In this case, it's got to be so many grand lists. And if it doesn't used up during that period of time, then they lose whatever's left. So this is an opportunity for the town to get someone outside of the town to build an industrial road, which are very expensive roads,
Yeah.
and therefore use it through tax abatement. So if you look at it this way, it's the town's getting a road in an area where there was no road before, and we're using tax abatements on something that's currently not on the tax roll. So it works out pretty well.
There's an actual project attached to this, too.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that 770 feet of road is not going to sit there without industrial
Right.
buildings going all around it. That helps us out in the long run.
And this is on West Queen?
West Queen.
All right. If everybody's okay, I'll just ask for unanimous consent to go to executive session with the Board of Ed.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
and I would never normally do this, but this is probably going to be a relatively long one, and in deference to staff, who's going to have to wait around, can we rattle through ours and then go to executive session? Because it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Is that okay?
We'll go,
Because otherwise, they're going to have to sit out there.
yeah, I didn't know
till-
how long our discussion will go. I don't have
I think it's going to be more than 5 minutes.
briefing on it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, public communications. Anybody want to speak? No. Okay. Board communications. Any communications among members?
Just a couple of things. First is, just like for Chairman Leary to say, a few of us were at the Unico dinner, and John got an award from Unico, the Gold Medal Award, for service before self. He got the whole gold medal, even though you're only half Italian, John. you got the whole lot.
Got the whole medal. Being half Italian.
But it's well deserved. It was obviously for a whole bunch of things. Stuff with scouts, stuff with parishes, stuff with schools, but also obviously your service as chair of the Board of Finance. And it was a good night and it was a well-deserved award.
Thank you. It was a surprise and an honor.
Well deserved.
Any other board member communications?
Sorry,
go ahead, please.
too quickly. We said a couple of meetings ago we were going to have some kind of brief discussion on the library, which is probably now a good time because obviously the project is going to be broken soon. But I just wanted to have a briefing on the financial aspects of the library. I think we know most of them. But there was a whole lot of discussion on social media in town, and it seems like people have different ideas of this. And I just wanted, if we could all get a level set on the finances, the project as a whole, and also things like, obviously, the bonding that we've taken out for it. I'd suggest, I don't know, Mark, if you could handle that.
July meeting?
Not a problem. July meeting.
Yeah.
We'll know a lot more. Obviously, we went out
When
bids.
it's
We opened the
broken,
bids yesterday, as a matter of fact. But next week and a half, WT Whiting Turner, who's our construction manager, will be going through all the bids to see where we are on budget. We're going to have a meeting with the building committee on the 28th with the recommendations on where we go from here. My hope is that we're on budget or pretty close to budget, and we start moving forward immediately on it. That being the case, at the July meeting, certainly I'll be happy to present where we currently are.
Oh, great. Is that okay?
Jim?
Yeah, let's have a rep from the library board here, too.
Will be the building
Oh,
committee.
Jim.
Or
Jim
just the building committee at this point?
Yeah, the library board isn't involved in the construction. It's just
Okay.
Mary
Somebody from the
Mary
building.
Baker is the liaison, and I happen to be on the building committee, so I can
Okay,
ask somebody
all
else
right,
to
so
come.
if you're going to represent it, that's fine. I just thought somebody from the library board.
I'll invite Mary Baker, and I'll invite Jim Morelli, who's chair of
Yeah,
the.
that's
Okay.
great.
Fair enough.
Thanks very much, Mark. Appreciate it.
Got it?
Okay, we'll try and go quickly through
Yep.
our agenda where we can. So the next section is the consent agenda, and once again, the consent agenda is money already received, it's money in hand, and all we're doing is appropriating it or moving it back to the line item to which it could be spent. A good analogy would be somebody makes a donation to the town for the police dogs, and the money comes in, it goes in the general fund, and we allow it to be used on the proper line item for the police dogs. That's just an analogy, but gives you an idea what we're dealing with here. So,
Mr.
I'll read
Chairman,
them all.
if I may,
Yeah,
if it's possible, I left in front of you folks tonight, as well as sending you today, a couple of items that we're going to request to be put onto the consent agenda. If you should so choose, I would hope you would.
okay.
And you're going to have to vote to do that as well. They're both items that are money in the bank, as you can see. You'll see it. I also left
Okay.
photocopies on.
All right, well, let's have a motion to put them on. I'll read it this time because I have it in my hand, but I'll make the motion to put onto the consent agenda, adding a number 5, an appropriation for $500 to the Special Revenue Fund number 209 for the Police Special Operations. This was a donation received after the original agenda item was posted. And that's number 1, and I'll give the second one, and we'll take it, we'll do a second and put them on. The next one, I'll add the consent agenda, item number 6, an appropriation for $285,179 to the Capital Projects Fund, number 400, for LoCIP grant for 2022. The total amount and list of projects was just approved by the state, and we want those to be available for the construction work and not wait until the next meeting, so we're going to add them on now. I've just made a motion to add 2 items on.
Mr. Zoni will make the motion. You can't make a motion.
Okay.
I'll make that motion, thank you.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now, in addition to those 2 motions, we just like to move forward with an appropriation of $7,500 to the Special Revenue Fund for the Barnes Museum Humanities Grant, an appropriation for $3,500, Special Revenue Fund for the Barnes Museum Taste of Southington, appropriation $12,385, Special Revenue Fund Highway for property loss damage, and appropriation $350 Special Revenue Fund for the STEPS program services, in addition to the 2 that we just motioned on. Do we have a motion to approve those as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? All right, so the consent agenda, it's 6 items are approved. 5, whoops.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, the next group of stuff, we got a lot here, so we'll crank through it unless there's a.
I have questions on the first one.
Okay, let's take the first one, because that's a big one. Let's take the first one slowly. Administrative business, suspense tax list, $157,138.70. A tax collector to transfer that amount to suspense. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion.
Yes. I'd like to understand this list of people on here. I went through this list and looked at every name on it, and some of the people that are listed as unable to locate, some are listed as deceased, some are removed from premises, and others just say suspense. I understand deceased, easy. I understand unable to locate. Suspense and, removed from premises, okay, I imagine that's probably an eviction or something of that nature. When I look at suspense, I don't really understand what and how. When I look up the name on the internet, some I find obituaries, some I find active on our voter registration list. What determines what suspense means, and what is that?
Suspense, under the statute, is an attempt to basically give a more realistic view as to what's probable to be collected by the tax collector. It's certainly not a write-off. Do not view it as so, please. And if you look at the list on the second page that Tax Collector Babin has summarized, you'll see most of those, quite a bit of them, are personal property and motor vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Those are people who have scrammed, and there's been efforts to try to find them, and you're not going to. The personal property are businesses that closed up, and this is, excuse me, the taxes on their business property. Unfortunately, there's very few businesses that we can actually go after when they're gone and they're dissolved legally. There's nothing. Sometimes there's nothing left. You can, and there's only one exemption, believe it or not. That's businesses that we can hold the health permit over. Things of that nature. So you don't have to issue a health permit to those establishments that need a health permit by law to operate if they owe back taxes, or even if they owe the current year taxes, if the tax collector views that they are risky. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way for every business. So you'll get businesses that flee.
But
they
that's
go out
not
of
where
town.
my question is. My question is suspense. There are dead people on that suspense list.
Okay,
There
well
are
then-
people who are right here. They're on our voter list that are here
Okay.
on that suspense
I-
list.
I don't know them.
So
I don't-
how does it work? How do we put someone there? And why, when I can look it up on the internet and in 5 seconds have somebody's, either they're not around anymore or they're on an address that's active in this town, why is it suspense? Has someone not done something to find them? Or we just assume because they aren't answering our mail that we're not going to get anything?
Well, I could-
What do
if it's
we
real-
do?
because
If it's real estate, it would be liened.
Okay, there's not real estate, but the Teresa Babbins is very, very good at what it is, and she does go through all these and tries to actually collect on them. You mentioned deceased, just because they're
Some of them
deceased
say 2018,
Yeah,
2017.
Exactly.
And
That's
they're
why,
still saying
that's why you keep
suspense.
working on them to a certain period of time. Then you put them on suspense. See, what happens is they've been active since 2017, 2018 for the collection part of it. And therefore, once she can't do anything anymore, she comes to suspense. She doesn't do them willy-nilly. If you look at our grand list, and you look at the fact, I think we're talking about 100 and something, what are we talking
Yeah.
about? $157,000.
Yeah, it's not huge
She's
compared
tried
to
her
the whole
hardest
thing,
to
right?
get that amount, but it's just not, it's getting you're getting blood from a stone. You can't do it. So, like Jim said, it's still out there. I mean, they
Right.
still owe it, but the fact of the matter is that when you say to the general public, we're going to bring in this much tax dollars, you got to be realistic.
Right.
You can't put 157,000 in there and you're never going to get it. So that's why we do this every year, and all our tax collectors work very hard to do this. And this is the last stop. They try and get the money up to that
So
point.
does someone who's on suspense move to the other list and have the word deceased put in instead?
Well, it's not the person, it's the tax. See, the tax itself.
There's a name here.
Yeah, there's name.
person's
But just because they're dead people, believe it or not, have estates and they could pay. We don't take it off the list because if there's an estate. But most estates, in this particular case, Jim just mentioned, if you have something with personal property and that person is gone, right? There's no assets there. You're not going to get that. Somebody who owes taxes and moves out of the jurisdiction, they take their car and drive it to
They're gone.
Florida.
Yeah.
You're not going to get those taxes. But the fact of the matter is we just don't wipe them off. We have to put them. So the statute doesn't just say, okay, we're just going to get rid of them. They make us put it on a suspense list so you can realistically say what your grand list is, and then it's set aside. But they're not forgotten. Eventually, will
they
we
can
ever
still
collect
be
them?
paid.
Yeah. Will we ever collect them? I heavily doubt it. But the fact of the matter is that up until a time period, they're still viable. But-
So it still doesn't tell me the difference between deceased and suspense if you're deceased. If you're deceased and you're listed as suspense, why are not you listed as deceased?
I think it was just the reason.
They just
deceased is
didn't
not-
finish
Deceased
it?
is not a tax classification. Deceased is a person who no longer lives, so therefore they owe the taxes. Their estate owes the
That's
tax.
correct.
You see what I'm saying?
So it's the estate.
The state owes the taxes.
Okay.
The state.
But the fact of the matter is, will we get it? No, just because they have an
Right.
estate. That more than likely, the state's, no one's going to open up an estate.
Right.
So therefore, how are you going to get it? Because you have to go to probate and all that. The town's not going to spend the resources to open up estates for all these people.
Right.
It's just not worth it.
And if you want to,
Largest
benefit
one
there.
is
Yeah, and most of them are
$1,790.
Yeah.
small numbers. I just didn't understand the difference.
No, it's
between
actually-
why this person, I know, I went to a funeral.
Well, why didn't you get my money when you were at the
taxes? Why?
And he's not listed as being deceased, so
No.
it doesn't
Jim,
make
Jim,
sense.
Jim
to
and I
me.
are fluent on it, but the person who, if you really want to sit down with somebody, and she'll be happy to do it, is Teresa. You know her.
Yeah,
You
she's
sit down with
awesome.
her. She's awesome. She'll sit down and go through the whole thing with her. Believe me, she's a bulldog when it comes to collecting taxes.
And it's also the reason we have the 1.7 or the 2.3 uncollectible.
Right.
Exactly.
Because we know we're not going to collect tax to the exact math on the grand
It
list.
used to be 2.3. It's
Yeah.
down to 1.7.
would
Yeah,
be-
town manager recommended.
it'd be better if it were 1.8 or 1.9.
All right, thank you.
If you wanted to look at the revenue report that's in your packet,
Yeah.
page 1 for the general fund, you'll see the very
I know
first.
it's always there, I just
You'll s-
never saw it itemized out like.
Yeah,
you know.
you'll see a line item for
Teresa-
suspense
Teresa
tax
would-
collected. We
Teresa will
collected
take our
41,000 this
explanation
year.
And go and beyond go our.
All right, thank
I
you.
have to sign it, right?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I have to actually sign it.
Yes, you have to sign it because you're on the hook. You're on the hook
I'm
for the
on the hook.
158,000, so don't worry about it.
Okay, all right, so we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 5-0, we'll move it to suspense. Number 2, appropriation $41,870. This is a funds received item. Police regular wages, the school resource officer grant, and then $41,870 to police overtime. It's all part of the item.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Number 3, appropriation, $122,616. This is the ARPA grant, Special Revenue Fund, contractual services.
Just obviously, this is something that was approved by this board and approved by the town council.
Yeah, we'll do a roll.
And we have to do a roll call vote for it. This is obviously necessary and part of the ARPA funds.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second, motion and a second. Any discussion? We'll do a roll call vote.
Mr. Lebenik,
Yes.
Mr. Polcock,
Yes.
Mr. Morrison,
Yes.
Mrs. Zoni,
Yes.
Mr. Leary, Chair.
Yes. Carries 5-0 through a roll call vote. Next one, appropriation, $242,517, sewer fund, transfer out to the capital projects fund.
This was fully explained earlier.
Yep. We have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Oni, second by Mr.
Second,
Morrison. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Number 4 carries 5-0. Number 5, department transfer 61,000 even. The sewer fund, this is the orthophosphate analyzers. Also explained. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion carries 5-0. Number 6, department transfer $800 sewer fund dues and conferences.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Number 6 carries. Number 7, department transfer $1,000 for HR, Human Resources, Medical Services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, number 7 carries. Number 8, department transfer 1,700, town council, temporary seasonal wages.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstain. It carries 5-0, number 8. Number 9, interdepartmental transfer, 35,000 accumulated payout.
Mr. Chair, we've had 2 longtime employees retire before June 30th, and we need the.
Okay?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstained? Done. Number 10, interdepartment transfer, $1,300, life insurance.
So
So
moved. All right, second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Number 11, department transfers, $13,500, public works, street lighting.
This one's a painful one, Mr. Chair. We've had a lot of accidents lately where the cars are not. Have no way of.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain? None? Okay. Carries, 11 carries 5-0. Number 12, department transfers, $6,500, library temporary seasonal wages.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Carries 5-0. Number 13, interdepartmental transfer, $4,000. The registrar of voters temporary seasonal wages, $4,000.
So
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Number 14, appropriation, $32,000, police department gasoline.
This is the one that the Mr. Bose explained.
So moved.
second.
Motion and a second. I'm trying to look for the item. Yeah, 32,000.
Yep, 32 grand.
Yeah, just bear with, just pricing thing. Okay. Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Carries, 14 carries 5-0. Number 15, departmental transfers, police department equipment maintenance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Number 15 carries. Number 16, department transfer, $9,325, police department vehicle maintenance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Number 16 carries. Number 17, departmental transfer, $125, police equipment maintenance.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Number 18 is in two parts, $3,000 animal control fund, transfer to self-insurance, and $500 animal control fund, regular wages.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 That carries. Few more. Number 19, interdepartmental transfers, zoning board of appeals, advertising, $965.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 That carries. Number 19 carries. Number 20, department transfers, $500, recreation department program services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Number 21, department transfers, $500, town clerk, temporary seasonal wages.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Number 22,
If you change that line in the
interdepartment.
charter, Mr.
What?
If you change that line in the charter, I could have done all these for you. but
Yeah.
That line in the charter screws us up.
Charter's hard to change.
Depends on what they're trying to change, isn't it?
Interdepartmental transfers, $12,000.
So moved.
Let
me briefly explain this.
Yeah,
one.
it's capital townwide paving.
Yep, this is the animal control building project that we worked on this last fall, early spring. And there's a section of fence that still needs to be put in. It was requested through many sources, so we've added money to that project to finish off the fencing.
Do we have a motion and a second on the 12,000?
You already-
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Last two here. Appropriation, $399,251, Board of Education Operations.
This is an annual item. Obviously, it's self-explanatory.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries 5-0. Last one's appropriation, $350,000 even. Capital budget, school athletic fields. This is for softball lighting. Cash funding from the 23-24 capital improvement project instead of bonding.
Mr.
This
Chairman,
is moving,
Yeah.
okay. go
If I
ahead.
may, Mr. Chairman, just a brief explanation. As you know, I put this in my capital budget, which was approved by this board and the town council. I originally had it for bonding. Because of budget reallocation issues, and we've done better than either Mr. Bowes and I thought we'd do for budget reallocation, there's additional funds there. So we're asking that instead of bonding, we shift that from funding source to cash funding through budget reallocation, fiscal year 23 monies to be used for fiscal year 23-24 capital item.
And we lost all the other bonding issues, potential funding with bonding that lost their way or got eliminated through the budget process. So there's no sense in having our bond lawyer
Yeah, for one.
write up the.
One item.
It's going to cost me $20,000 for a $350,000 project. Doesn't make much sense.
Totally
You
support
could
it.
buy extra bulbs.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Let's do a roll call vote on it.
Sure.
Make sure we're clear.
Mr. Pocock,
Yes.
Mr. Morrison,
Yes.
Mrs. Zoni,
Yes.
Mr. Lebenik,
Yes.
Chair Larry,
Yes.
5-0.
Okay. Okay,
Mr. Chair, if I may, there was one thing I did want to mention that I neglected to
Yeah.
before. Just to remind the public that the swimming pool at South End Recreation Park is closed for the summer. Anybody who wants to swim needs to go to Memorial Park. Make sure you have your ID with you. Thank you.
One more major item, obviously, Mr. Chair, and that's 11. Just want to get that vote on 11. This is the non-lapsing account for the Board of Education.
well, where's the numbers on it?
Roman numeral number 11.
No, I mean, that's the number of the item. Where's the number of the,
No. As you remember, let me talk
Yeah, I got
about.
it.
Yeah, what happens in June is,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, what happens in June is that under the statute, you establish the
Oh,
non-lapsing account.
yes, I
And then
got it,
it's
yep.
funded, we'll sometime in, usually September, we'll find out what the funding number is.
Okay, this
Thereabouts.
is just the establishment of the
Yeah,
fund.
and it's required to be done before the June 30th date, so that's what today is.
Okay, so we'd like a motion to establish the non-lapsing fund for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. for the
So
Board
moved.
of Ed.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, that carries. Thanks for explaining that. I was a little bit
That's okay.
confused. That just puts the show up. Okay, good.
And then briefly, obviously, Jim put down what I approved over the last month that I was able to approve. And then administration is going to ask for, before we talk about number 13, we're asking for an executive session right after, so I would say 13A, put in executive session to discuss security matters, Board of Education.
Need a motion to
Sorry.
go to executive session for,
Well, we're just putting it on the
or
agenda,
putting it on
On the
the, for
agenda.
putting it on
Put
the
it on the
agenda.
agenda.
because we'll take care of 13 first, and then we'll go to 13.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So now Jim will handle 13, and then we can go into executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the last meeting, we had discussions, and I had a little bit of a lengthy discussion about the audit process, and we had the audit presentation actually a little later than normal. So in your packet, you have received the 2 years of quotes from the firm of CLA, which stands for Clifton Larson Allen. They are the former Bloom Shapiro, merged with that firm about 3 years ago now. The merger is now totally complete. They have been our auditors for a little while, and these are their two prices that this board allowed me to pursue with them. If we lock them up to 2 years, it's up to this board per the charter. If you want to do both years or 1 year at a time, it doesn't matter. But if we do it this way, these prices are approximately 5 to 6% lower than they would have been if they were just a 1 year and 2 1-year contracts, if you will. So
So management recommendation is to lock in the 2 years.
that's correct.
Okay.
That's not bad. It's a 5% increase.
I do have I do have a listing of towns. I don't know how detailed you want to get into it, but
No.
No, it's okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good.
A motion would work nice.
I can talk till Friday.
Okay, let's
No kidding.
seek a motion.
Motion to
Motion to
approve.
approve a 2-year. We got it? Motion to approve a second 2-year.
Just for this.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Jim, will you get back to them and tell them we approved the 2-year?
Yes, and I will. I'm going to have you. Oh, actually, I can sign this.
Okay.
Mark can sign this. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yep.
Motion for executive.
Okay, now we need a motion to go into executive session with
moved.
Board of Ed
Second.
Yeah, let the,
and town manager and finance
yeah,
director.
let the record show the superintendent and the chair of the Board of Education will be with us.
And we're going in at
7:47.
7:47.
7:47.
Thank you.